Forget how you won yesterday. That trophy you built with your own hands is likely to become the tombstone that crushes you. Sounds harsh, doesn't it? The truest tragedy I've ever seen. Smart people are so often destroyed by their own success. Why? Because success is a liar. It whispers in your ear that you're gifted, that you're always right. Failure, on the other hand, only tells the truth. That wakes you up the hard way with a loud slap across the face. That moment of dizziness, shame, and sharp pain forces you to do one thing: look squarely at yourself. You're forced to return to the scene of the crime, replaying every step like a madman, until you find it that tiny but fatal bit of stupidity that was hiding under the glow of victory. The pain of failure is the best sobriety test. It burns away your arrogance and makes you cautious again, washes away your delusions and makes you sharp again. Success gives you the world, but failure lets you win back yourself. Asterisk, that times is what real growth looks like. That feeling is more addictive than any drug and more destructive once this genius delusion takes over your brain. An intellectual catastrophe has quietly begun. Pride acts like a layer of grease, slowly clouding your judgment. The annual report that used to take you 3 days and nights to get through. Now you just glance at the summary and feel you've seen it all. The business model that used to require rigorous verification. Now you just hear a few comments from some expert and you're completely sold. You stop being a hungry wolf, vigilantly scanning the environment for the slightest movement. You become a well-fed lion, dozing lazily on your past accomplishments, arrogantly assuming the entire savannah is under your control. You start to misattribute your last victory, which was pure luck, to your own extraordinary ability. This is the prelude to ruin. My partner and I, we've spent our entire lives fighting this deep-seated human tendency toward complacency. It's a never-ending internal war, because the enemy lives inside our own heads. But you have to go to battle every single day without fail. Our method, it's brutally simple. We always assume that we are ignorant. We never think we're the smartest guys in the room. On the contrary, every day we actively look for evidence that proves we are wrong. We love people who disagree with us. We treasure the reports that can poke a hole in our logic with a single sharp point. This is what it means to invert. It's not some profound philosophy. It's a mental discipline. When you find what looks like a perfect investment opportunity, when you're so excited you're about to jump out of your chair, force yourself to stop. Don't rush to place the order, and certainly don't rush to celebrate. First, go pour yourself a glass of water, sit back down at your desk, and take out a clean sheet of paper. The top, in all caps, write this question: how could this investment absolutely ruin me? Then, you have to play the role of the harshest, most vicious prosecuting attorney. You must use all of your intellect to attack your own idea. You have to find every potential fatal flaw. You have to ask, what if the macro environment turns on a dime? What if a competitor with disruptive technology appears out of nowhere? What if management has been lying all along and the financials are a complete fraud? What if the fundamental rules of the industry are completely rewritten? What if an unforeseen black swan event descends upon us? You must force yourself to confront the worst-case scenarios. This process is counterintuitive and painful because we are wired to hear stories that confirm how smart we are. But it's precisely this painful process that can pull you back from the cliff's edge. Only after you have a thorough understanding of all the negatives. If you still think the investment is worthwhile, can you say your decision is built on a foundation of reason, not on the shifting sands of emotion? Remember, in the world of investing, arrogance is a synonym for death. The moment you think you know it all, the market will immediately design a custom-made lesson just for you, and the tuition will be more than you can afford. Money is a strange thing. The more desperately you chase it, the more it runs away from you. People 100 times smarter than me are a dime a dozen in this market. But why is it that so few are able to accumulate, and more importantly, keep time's great wealth? The root cause isn't IQ, it's temperament. Too many smart people are cursed by their own intelligence. They can't stand the idea of doing nothing. To them, waiting is wasting time, and standing still is missing an opportunity. So they act like gamblers at a casino on a losing streak, buying and selling constantly, chasing every hot trend, terrified they'll miss the next train to riches. They have never understood a fundamental truth. In investing, the great fortunes are often made by what you times don't times do. Not touching things you don't understand, not doing things that are outside the boundaries of your competence, not participating in gambles that keep you up at night. The slow is the fastest way. This is another paradox, but it's absolutely true. The growth of wealth depends not on the explosive power of a sprinter, but on the endurance of a marathon runner. Its engine is compound interest. Our friend, compound interest, only asks one thing of you: time. You must give it a long enough runway to work its magic, to turn a small, unimpressive snowball into a towering mountain of snow. The euphoria of success is the #1 killer of patience. You make 30% this time, so you crave 60% the next. You took a year to make a profit this time, so you delude yourself into thinking you can do it in a month next time. The desires are fed and bloated by success, while your patience is eroded away. You start making incredibly stupid decisions. You add leverage. You make concentrated bets. You put all your eggs into one basket that you believe is indestructible. Then, all it takes is one small jolt from the market, and you're wiped out. Always remember, if you try to get rich slow, you'll almost certainly succeed. If you try to get rich quick, you'll almost certainly go broke. I have missed far more investment opportunities in my life than I have seized. Countless people have laughed at me, calling me a fossil for missing the entire tech revolution, for missing countless 10-baggers. They're absolutely right. I don't understand the vast majority of high-tech companies, but I operate strictly within a small, clearly defined area that I call my circle of competence. Inside that circle, I am confident in my deep understanding. Outside of it, no matter how tempting it looks, no matter if everyone else is celebrating, I don't touch it. I don't feel anxiety or jealousy because I know that making money outside your circle of competence is, by definition, gambling. And the gambler's ultimate fate is already written. Unexpected success is the easiest way to create a fatal illusion. The illusion that your circle of competence has expanded overnight. You might have just gotten lucky buying a stock outside your circle, and it went up. At that moment, human nature will trick you into interpreting that luck as your own unique insight and talent. So you get bolder, and you start charging into unfamiliar territories. It's like a man who only knows how to drive a sedan, but by some fluke manages to drive a heavy truck 100 yards without crashing. He then arrogantly concludes he has mastered the art of truck driving. His next attempt will inevitably end in disaster. So, you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Clearly define what you know, and more importantly, clearly define what you don't know. Admitting, I don't know, isn't a disgrace. It's the beginning of wisdom. Pretending you know is what's truly fatal. The waiting is the most underrated quality in investing. The vast majority of the time, the market is in an unpredictable, manic state. Your best strategy is often to sit on the sidelines, holding cash, and watch the players on the field act out all sorts of irrational dramas, driven by greed and fear, as if you're watching an absurd play. Your job is not to join them. It's to wait patiently. To wait for Mr. Market to make a fatal mistake. To wait for him to become so terrified that he is willing to sell you $1 worth of a quality asset for 40 cents. Such opportunities are exceedingly rare. Sometimes you might have to wait for years. During this long, seemingly idle wait, you will be tormented. You will see people around you constantly making money. You will hear myths of overnight fortunes. You will start to doubt yourself, and you will feel the anxiety of being left behind. This torment is one of the biggest side effects of success. Because you've tasted the sweetness of profit, you can't stand the fallow period of not making money. No. Cash, in many situations, is the most aggressive asset in your portfolio. It isn't idle money. It's time's optionality asterisk. It gives you the decisive purchasing power to act when opportunity finally arrives. The battlefield is littered with bleeding bodies and gold. Only the person holding cash can be the one to clean up. So, learn to enjoy the waiting. Use the process of waiting as the best time to hone your temperament, to think deeply, and to review your investment checklist again and again. Let's talk about making mistakes. I've made enough mistakes to fill a book. Anyone who actually swims in the market will inevitably make mistakes. But there's a world of difference between one kind of mistake and another. One kind is a mistake you make after you've done all the research and followed all your disciplines. This kind of mistake is forgivable because the future is always uncertain. But the other kind of mistake is unforgivable. That's the mistake born of pride, laziness, and greed that follows success. Getting carried away by a single win and ceasing to do deep research. That's the mistake of pride, believing you're an expert and no longer listening to dissenting opinions. That's the mistake of laziness, the craving to replicate your last triumph by taking risks. You shouldn't. That's the mistake of greed. This kind of mistake is stupidity of your own choosing. What we strive our entire lives to avoid is precisely this kind of stupidity. Remember, in this game, survival is the only rule that matters. How do you avoid stupidity? Go back to the beginning. Treat yesterday's success as today's alarm bell. You made a lot of money yesterday? Great. Now, forget it. When the sun rises today, you are once again a student who knows nothing. You must pick up your checklist again. The best airline. The best airline pilot isn't the one who can perform the most death-defying stunts. It's the one who, before every single takeoff, no matter how many tens of thousands of hours he's flown, takes out that long, the boring checklist and confirms every single item, just like a rookie. Why does he do this? Because he knows that even the slightest oversight, a single assumption based on experience, could lead to a fatal crash. Your investing principles and your discipline, that's your checklist. Before you pull the trigger every single time, you must coldly ask yourself, item by item, do I really understand this business? Is its moat durable? Is management trustworthy? Are the financials sound? Does the current price offer a sufficient margin of safety? This process is tedious and no fun at all, but it will keep you alive. So you see, the core of this game has never been about predicting the market. It's about knowing yourself. How you handle success is far more important than how you find opportunities. It is a spiritual discipline, and money is just a byproduct used to measure your progress. You must build your own unbreakable inner scorecard. The standard by which you judge yourself is not how much your account has grown, nor how much praise you've received from the outside world. The only standard is, was my decision-making process rational, objective, and in strict accordance with my principles? If your answer is yes, then even if the outcome of this investment is a loss, you are still a success on your inner scorecard. Conversely, if you violated your principles and made money through sheer luck, then on your inner scorecard, you are a complete failure. Because what is won by luck will eventually be lost by skill. When your satisfaction comes from doing the right thing instead of making money, you achieve the ultimate freedom. You will be completely liberated from the emotional torment brought on by the market's daily gyrations. So, forget yesterday's success. Nail it to the wall as a warning sign, a reminder of human frailty. Your gaze must always be fixed on the road ahead, a road filled with uncertainty and risk. To stay hungry, stay skeptical, and above all, be skeptical of yourself. Treat every success as a lucky escape and learn from it. Next time, be more diligent, more cautious, more humble. If you can do that, success will no longer be your enemy. It will be a stepping stone to higher wisdom. But this path is destined to be a lonely one. Finally, remember the three most dangerous words in the world aren't "I was wrong." They're "I get it." The moment you think you get it all, your learning has stopped and your decline has begun. Wake up every morning and tell yourself, I still know nothing. That is what will allow you to survive longer in this endless game.